Aloha, it's Chef Teton here, and I am going to dedicate this video to shingles. Many of you know that I got shingles in, well gosh, it was about a year and a half ago, a year and a few months ago. And so many people call me now and say, should I get the shingles virus? I mean, no, not the virus. Should I get the shingles shot? And my answer is, I have no idea. I seriously have no idea. I'm going to tell you why I have no idea and why I chose the path that I did and what I'm choosing for the future. So here it is, basically. First of all, before I broke out in shingles, about 3 months prior to that, I began to get really ill. I would have these heart palpitations and I would lose my breath. I couldn't breathe well, and I literally went to the hospital 4 different times to go to the emergency room because I thought maybe I was having a heart attack. I mean, I literally just I called it my going down thing. I called an ambulance twice because that's what they told me to do at the hospital, said don't take any chances. And every time I would go in there, the first time they kept me overnight, to monitor my heart and do all those tests. They do at least 4 or 5 times. And there was nothing wrong with me. Everything's perfect. They said I was as healthy as a horse. Well, that gave me comfort, but I would go home and it would happen again, and then it would happen again. And I was super tired. Oh my gosh, I was so tired. And then I went to a heart doctor, and I went to various different specialists and had all these tests done. And I went to a heart doctor, and he looked at all my tests, and I wore one of those monitors for like 10 days or whatever it is. And he says, you really puzzle me. He says, usually I can figure these things out, but this really puzzles me. And he just couldn't, he just kept staring at his screen, and he kept looking at the papers and the tests, and he kept contemplating. And I was so grateful for, number one, that he was spending so much time with me. But he just, he was just really puzzled. And so finally he says, why don't you get up here on the table and let me listen? And so he did. And all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I remember a woman that healed herself from your symptoms, and it had to do with an arginine and lysine diet. And I said, oh, I totally get that. I know what that is. And he said that, what did he say? Oh, it has something to do with the Epstein-Barr virus, the EBV virus. And I remember that I'd heard stuff about the Epstein-Barr virus and all these autoimmune diseases, and I just didn't like to pay a lot of attention to him because somewhere inside of me I didn't believe him. I didn't believe that our body was really attacking its immune system. I didn't believe that you had this disease that was going to be forever there and you had to take all these medications. So I never really got close to it. Just, excuse me, kind of itch in my nose. So I didn't know a lot about it. So he gave me the diet, he found it in his computer, he printed it out again. I was so grateful for him. And I started looking at all the foods that were high in arginine and low in lysine, which is, all with the herpes virus. And the herpes virus was alive in me. And I kept getting it in the last few years over and over and over again. And I really felt like I tried everything. But the high arginine diet is really a diet it's just that I don't love, and it doesn't resonate with me. So I'd always kind of fall off. You can't eat a lot of nuts and seeds. That's okay with me. I mostly nuts. And I was taking lysine a lot. And so anyway, cut to, somebody told me to read the medical medium, and I did. Well, actually I didn't read it. I got it on Audible, and I listened to it fervently. Oh my gosh, I just loved Michael Williams' story. I believed him. It rang true to me. It resonated with me. And he was saying basically that all of these autoimmune systems are not the truth. It's not our body attacking itself. And that all of these diseases, from shingles to the autoimmune thyroid disorders, to lupus, and to all of those that are categorized in that genre of diseases, were really, the Epstein-Barr virus was at the base of them. So all of a sudden this is starting to really, ring true to me. And so he prescribed a diet and a lot of supplements and prayer, even prayer. And he told story after story after story of people that had, like me, but much younger, like 30-year-olds that had 40-year-olds that had these terrible immune problems. They were all diagnosed with either thyroid or lupus or adrenals. I thought it was my adrenals because I was so exhausted. And so I decided just to do what he said because I didn't know what else to do. And I never was tested for the Epstein-Barr virus. And so later on, because I had to see my doctor every few weeks, and later on down the road, I asked her to test me for the Epstein-Barr, and she did. And he says in his book, if you get tested for Epstein-Barr by your doctor, they will probably say you had mononucleosis at some time earlier in your life. I thought that was kind of weird. Anyway, so the doctor gets the test back, and out of her mouth comes these exact same words. You probably had, no big deal, you only have a small amount. It's probably the Epstein-Barr, you probably had mono when you were younger. Well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I certainly didn't know if I did. And so this all kind of started to make sense to me, and there wasn't anything else going on, and there was certainly all these wonderful healing stories that he had that took time. They took like a year for most of the patients or people he worked with. And the key thing was, most of them had taken so many drugs. And so the faster he said that you could get well was partially dependent on how many drugs that you had been taken. So for me, I didn't take any drugs. Of course, I was never really prescribed any except for gabapentin for nerve pain. But I took Vicodin, and I did take some Ambien for sleep, and very, very little. I would take a Vicodin, like, a half of one 4 times a day. So I took 2 a day, and I tell you, I would take them again. And probably next time I would take more because it was the most painful, most agonizing thing I ever went through. And that's another whole story that we could talk about. And people's opinions about them and their judgments. And I really tried to be careful. And there's other things that I used that really helped just give me comfort. But I wasn't comfortable at all. It was pretty horrible, and it lasted a long time, and I still have nerve damage from it. However, a year and 3 months later, July 4th, August and September we're in, so just a couple months later, I'm doing really well. And my nerve damage is not it's not painful. It just kind of itches sometimes. I'll feel it, on my back. But here's what I want to say about the shingles. And the reason I told you this story, the shingles shot. First of all, I would never take it now. People ask me if I would, and apparently I can. But we're knowing, and we're finding out that it is this compromised immune system. So what we want to do is keep our immune systems up. We want to keep strong, and we need to start doing that at a very early age, 40s, 50s. And now we know so many of our younger people are really getting ill at a very young age, and they're having all these autoimmune diseases. So for me, Michael Williams' book, The Medical Medium, that's what gave me hope. That's the diet I practice, the supplements I take on the most part, and I continue to study to cleanse my liver, get the heavy metals out of me all the time, and to nourish. I think that's the biggest thing I got from his diet was the value of nourishment. Most of us are starving for nourishment, and we're so focused on what we shouldn't eat that we really need to be focused on what we should eat and drink and consume and feel about it. So we'll dive into diet a little bit more. But in answer to the question of should I get the shingle shot, You know, first of all, they say you don't want to get it if you have a weakened immune system. Well, there you go. And if you have a strong immune system, you're most likely not going to get the shingles virus. And if you do have herpes and you get breakouts often, or it comes upon you often, you know right then that's a little flag saying, you know, you've got a little bit of a weakened immune system. So here's where I want to inspire you, is to maybe read the Medical Medium book. Think ahead of time. Let's prepare. This is a whole part of my preparedness for how to build a body to last a lifetime. These are the things you have to look out for, because when they catch you, it's not fun. And it takes a lot more energy to turn the body around than it does to be proactive and to be in a preparedness mode all the time. So if any of you too have experienced a breakdown like I did, or a trauma, or a surgery, or cancer, or chemo, these are the people I'm working a lot with, because we're learning how to repair our body. We want to repair it, we want to restore it, and then we want to revitalize it. And then after, you know, once we go through this process, then on our way, we are going to start preparing for tomorrow. And that's just the way we need to do in this world, in this environment, if we want to be strong, healthy, happy, and have a fun life. I don't care how old you are, but if you do want to live into your 70s and 80s with some robust glow, then I really want you to start thinking about these things now. Now is the time. I don't care what age you are, because you're going to have a lot better life if you're healthy and happy. You're going to have a lot more fun. Aloha, and stay tuned for more videos from Chef Teton. Aloha. Oh, I got a little thing here. See you next time.